Hello, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time to work on developing your English skills and personal growth. You practice listening again and again, but instead of feeling better, you feel more confused because you try to hold on to every word and you get lost before the first sentence even finishes. You press play on a dialogue, you recognize a few simple words, and while you are still thinking about them, the speaker has already continued with a new point, and your mind starts to freeze. You replay the audio, trying to match the sounds with words you know, and after a few minutes, you feel tired even though you still cannot say what the conversation is about. You blame your vocabulary, your pronunciation, or even your intelligence. You think you are not talented enough for listening. But there is one important fact that most learners never hear. Listening problems usually do not come from not knowing enough words. They come from the habit of trying to understand every single word as if you must translate everything perfectly. Because of that habit, you lose the natural rhythm, you fall behind the speaker, and little by little you lose the desire to keep going. The problem is not that English is too fast. The problem is that you are using the wrong strategy. When you focus on each word, you treat listening like a word-by-word exercise. The moment you hear something new, your brain stops to search for meaning, and while you are searching, the speaker continues speaking. A few seconds later, the message is already far ahead, and you are still stuck with one word. Then you feel frustrated, and you tell yourself that you are bad at listening. However, even native speakers do not try to hear everything clearly. They do not study every sound or check every word carefully. They listen for meaning in larger parts. They follow the general direction of the sentence, and they accept that some words will pass by. Imagine you are in a busy coffee shop in Vietnam and people around you are talking. You do not hear every word clearly because of the noise. You catch the main words and your brain uses the situation to guess the rest. That is how natural listening works. English works in the same way, but you do not give yourself permission to guess. You believe that you must understand 100%, and that belief creates pressure that makes you fail from the start. In listening, understanding the main message is more important than understanding every detail. Instead of asking about the meaning of each new word, you should ask what the speaker is trying to say overall. You do not need to catch all the small information, you only need to understand the general topic. For example, if someone is talking about a holiday, it is enough to know they are describing a trip, their feelings, and maybe some problems they faced. You do not need to understand every word they use to describe the hotel room. You do not need to know the exact name of every dish they ate if it is not the central idea. When you change your focus to the main idea, your mind becomes calmer. You stop fighting with every word. And interestingly, when you relax, your understanding improves. Listening is about following the movement of speech. When you stop translating all the time, you begin to hear the natural beat of English. You start to recognize patterns that you did not notice before. If you can't catch the whole sentence, pay attention to the words that are stressed. In English, some words are stronger and clearer than others. Important words like nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs usually receive stress. Short grammar words like prepositions or pronouns are often spoken quickly and softly. If you try to hear every small word, you will feel overloaded. English has a rhythm based on stress. This means the stressed words come at regular times and the other words become shorter or weaker. Listen carefully to a simple sentence you already know. You will notice that only a few words sound strong and the rest seem to disappear. If you catch those strong words, you can still understand the message. For example, during a fast phone call, you might only clearly hear words like meeting, tomorrow, change, and time.
From those key words, you can understand that the speaker wants to change the meeting time for tomorrow. You do not need to hear every sound between them. Native speakers also depend on key words. They use the situation and the main words to understand tense, feeling, and overall meaning. They stay calm when they miss something. They accept that not everything will be clear, and they use experience to fill the gaps. Stress in a sentence can also change the focus. If someone puts strong stress on near, they want to show that the distance is important. If they stress no, they want to make the negative meaning clear. When you notice the stress, you understand the real message. If you ignore it, you might misunderstand the speaker's intention. No one understands everything all the time, and that's normal. No matter what level you are at, there will always be parts you can't hear clearly. The key difference between people who improve and people who stop is their reaction. Some people believe they must understand every word before they move on. Others accept that some parts are missing and continue listening. When you accept that you are not perfect, you protect the rhythm. When you keep the rhythm, you can stay with the conversation, and when you stay with the conversation, listening becomes less frightening. Listening is not an exam with a score. It is a process of becoming familiar with real sounds and real speech. You do not need to translate every sentence in your head. You only need to follow the flow and stay present. If you truly want progress, you need to practice differently. Begin with short audio clips and listen to them several times. First, write down only the words that sound strong or clear. Do not try to write full sentences at the beginning. Collect the key words and see how they connect. Later, you can listen again and add the missing details. When you feel more confident, choose longer materials such as news reports or podcasts and listen without stopping to check new words. Your aim is not perfect translation. Your aim is to understand the main direction of the talk. You should also adjust your expectations. Do not press play with the goal of understanding everything. Tell yourself that understanding the general idea is already success. Make listening a daily habit. You do not need to study for one long hour. You can listen while cleaning, walking outside, or waiting somewhere. Regular contact with English helps your ears get used to its natural rhythm. There is also one challenging but necessary step. Try to reduce your use of subtitles. When subtitles are on, your eyes take control and your ears become lazy. You return to reading word by word instead of listening for meaning. If you decide to use subtitles, listen once without them first. You are not incapable of learning to listen well. You have simply been using the wrong approach. Listening is not about collecting words like pieces of a puzzle. It is about catching the message and moving with the rhythm. When you stop chasing every word and start focusing on stress and main ideas, the process feels easier. You will stay calm even if you miss a small detail. You will not freeze because of one unknown word. You will begin to follow the speaker more smoothly, and as you follow more smoothly, your confidence will grow. Maybe today you still miss many parts, but if you keep the rhythm and continue practicing, tomorrow you will understand more than you do now. That is the path that strong listeners have taken. If you find this video interesting and helpful, please give me a like and subscribe.